Hello, I'm Charlie Dent, a former congressman from Pennsylvania's 15th district, which included the Lehigh Valley and extending out as far as Hershey, Pennsylvania. Currently, I'm a senior policy advisor at the international law firm of DLA Piper, and I'm a political contributor for CNN. Today, I want to have a conversation about a beacon of liberty and what that means. It often seems that over the years, that presidents of the United States have often talked about freedom and democracy, and it almost became cliched. You would see them speaking about this routinely, and it almost was exhausting at times. But now, I think more than ever, I understand why they spoke about it at such great length. And they did so because so many people from around the world do see the United States of America as a beacon of liberty, of freedom, of opportunity. And it's important that the President of the United States make that point repeatedly. And we've seen that in recent years, that has not been the case. When the President has been talking quite a bit about, in admiring ways, about dictators, about autocrats, whether it be Vladimir Putin or President Erdogan in Turkey, or bromances with Kim Jong-un, or speaking admiringly of President Xi in China. I mean, we begin to question, many people around the world begin to question America's commitment to liberty. And why it's important is that the United States has established a system of alliances and partnerships and free trade agreements that have enhanced our strategic position in the world militarily, as well as our economic position. And those two things, that economic and military relationship, are very much interrelated. As an example, the United States has very effectively used multilateral organizations over the years, say NATO, for example, to help advance our national interests, in this case, our national security interests. And that's a very good thing. There was a trade agreement called the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or the TPP, that meant to align the United States and our Pacific Rim allies economically. We're going to be aligned economically so that we could write the rules and set the standards of trade together. The American leadership to do that. We were doing this so that the Chinese would not end up setting the standards or writing rules. And of course, the United States has withdrawn from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The point I'm making is we can be smart about using our alliances, our relationships, to advance our interests. And that's what separates the United States from many of the countries that we see as threats or rivals. The Russians really don't have allies, really, nor do the Chinese, for that matter. So it's up to us to enhance those relationships. We enhance those relationships by partnering with countries that share our values, as well as our mission, but sharing our values, commitments to democracy, free speech, an independent judiciary, free press, all those necessary prerequisites for democratic societies. And that is what strengthens our relationships and our alliances, those shared values that also translate, in many cases, into shared interests. So that's something I want to point out. And I would also point out, too, that in the United States, from our national security perspective, we have extraordinary diplomats, and of course, the greatest military in the world, and development assistance programs. And I've often said that, we need to do all three of these things right: diplomacy, defense, development, to really advance our interests. And we need to strike that proper balance. And we have not always done that. Sometimes we have used our military, relied on our military too much to advance maybe diplomatic or even development initiatives. And I think we've got to better reset this. But bottom line is, this country, is the beacon of liberty, of hope to so many people throughout the world. Even during these troubled times, people still want to come to America. Once the pandemic passes, of course, this is the place where people want to be. There's something special about this place, something that is exceptional. And it is up to all of us to make sure that we maintain that spirit of optimism, a nation that is forward-leaning, that really has its best days in front of it. and does not dwell on a past that no longer exists. That we have to talk about the future and embrace it, and talk about things like inclusion. And in the political sense, I've always said, to be a winning or governing coalition, you have to have a message for the future. You have to be optimistic. You have to be inclusive. You have to talk about adding people, not dividing. And I think that is something that we have lost. And as a Republican, I'm deeply troubled by this inward-looking, unilateralist, almost protectionist, isolationist, and at times nativist approach to the governing philosophy for our party and ultimately for our country. So we need to get to a better place. And and as a Republican, I hope that at some point, we'll be able to become a party that is much more constructively engaged on the international stage, embracing a freedom agenda. I hope that the party becomes much more socially tolerant than it is today, and that we continue to embrace things like free markets, again with reasonable regulation and properly run. But at the same time, we can get back into this type of an agenda that I think has helped define the Republican Party for much of its history. So, bottom line is this: the United States of America is seen as that beacon of hope throughout the world, and it is time for us to reclaim that mantle of leadership, engage, and double down with our friends and partners and allies, and together, we can help put this world in a better place and get our country on a better track. Thank you.